and the recording will be placed on the town's website. The other thing I want to prevent it, the town's policy is that if you can't be 6 feet apart in your group, you're required to wear a mask from the public. All the commissioners here at this table have all been vaccinated. So just so you know, that's a requirement that just came out from the Board of Selectmen. So we'll start the meeting first with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started with the agenda, I want to make a couple of remarks. On July 21st, the aquarium and the conjunction with the Stonegate Police Department provided a day for the Connecticut Police Chiefs Memorial Foundation, which allowed the families of fallen officers, both local, state, and federal, to come to the aquarium and spend the day here in Mystic. So I want to thank not only the members of the department and the chief that participated, but I want to thank Dr. Cohen and the members of the aquarium staff that provided that for us. And secondly, on the 22nd of last month, the Connecticut Police Chiefs Association had a kids camp at the Channel 3 Kids Camp, and it was a week that the kids came to a kid, and each department, many of the departments funded a kid to camp, and I want to make a statement that Stonington Police, in conjunction with the Stonington Police Union, funded a kid to go to camp, and I want to thank the union and for that thing. It was a very heartening thing to go up there and see that. So those are two positive things that took place last month here in Stonington. Next thing is, we're going to go to the remarks of the public. If there's something on the agenda that you're going to talk on, wait till that item comes up. Is there anybody here that is not on the agenda that wants to bring something up to the commission? Is there anybody here from that? Okay, so stand up and tell us your name.
Hi, my name is Steve with New England Food Truck Fest. We're not on the agenda, but we were called from the police station to come down, and then we were going to be placed on it, but it wouldn't be probably on here. They just told us to come down and be part of it.
What is this in regards to? Can you speak up a little bit?
It's in regards to food truck gathering.
Oh, we're going to put that on the agenda. We got that today. Thank you so much. Yeah, I've got that on the agenda. We'll put that on the new business agenda. Yep, got to have that. Came in today. Got it today, yes. So under new business, first on the agenda is the application for an expansion of the Royal Restaurant, the Mystic Royal Restaurant. Is there anybody here that would like to talk about that? Can you come up and come up so we can hear you and tell us who you are and tell us what the issue is?
Yep, I'm Shirley Suleiman. I'm the owner of the Mystic Royal, and we apply for the liquor permit and extended seat for 45, if this possible. And we want to serve it because without liquor in Mystic, it's not possible paying not even a rent. And I'm pretty new for this business, the restaurant business, but I have food truck last 7 years and catering business as well. So we are trying to do expand our business and little new food we want to bring in this town. So I hope you guys approve for the liquor permit.
I have a couple of comments. I have a couple of questions, if you don't mind. Taking a look at the schematic that was presented to the board under Exhibit C of the time, it shows that there's a number of parking spaces not only outside the restaurant but also on the lot behind the restaurant. That's correct?
Yes.
And in the schematic that was provided, it shows 4 parking spaces on the entry. It says you come in as you go into the driveway by the Indian restaurant there, but there's no parking spaces along that driveway. I've been there twice myself, so those really don't exist. Is that correct?
I have no idea front of the Indian restaurant, but we counted. It's a 39 parking we have. So, and he holds 50 seats in this moment. I know that.
Well, my concern is that they provide documentation to us, and we rely on the documentation provided that it's accurate.
Yep.
So my question is, that doesn't appear to be accurate, so that's a comment that we'll be making to the zoning board. It's really a decision of the zoning board on this. We're just making comments about parking. The one other question I had is, how are you going to direct your customers to use that lot? It's a little bit out of the way. Is there a way you're going to do that to get them to use the lot behind the building?
No, behind the building, it's for the what is called employees, not for the customer.
It also says restaurant parking here.
Yeah, restaurant parking for the employees, not for the customers. Customers all park front of the restaurant.
Okay. Do any of the commissioners, Mr. Tabor, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Mr. Elmer?
No.
Mr. Turner?
I do not.
All right, we're gonna be forwarding this on to the zoning board with our comments about the parking issue, and as far as that goes, that's it.
Thank you.
Chief, I'm sorry, Chief,
You have to
you,
make a motion.
Yeah.
To get the.
oh, yeah, a motion to pass the comments up.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
What exactly are your comments?
On the parking.
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 Just a question on
Number of parking spaces.
Number of parking spaces. One other comment I forgot to mention is that Commissioner Bates is traveling out of state, so she's not available tonight, so that's why she's not here. Okay, thank you. The next one is pizza restaurant. Anybody here that wants to talk about that?
I'm Louis Termini, and I've been in Connecticut with a pizza restaurant in Hartford County for 27 years called Luna Pizza. Originally from Brooklyn, New York, where there's a restaurant now, and in Westport, Connecticut. The restaurants that were in Connecticut, I sold to friends, customers, relatives. 27 years in Hartford, Avon, Simsbury, Glastonbury. And I went back to my hometown for the last 10 years, and the last 2 years also in Westport. We're under the Brooklyn Bridge in Brooklyn, New York. And my wife had a sailboat in Mystic for the last 10 years, and she didn't tell me what a good town it would be to have a business here. So I'd like to divorce her.
We can't help you with that.
Sure, home committed. And we're called a restaurant change from Dunkin' Donuts, which had tables and chairs, which is a little difficult for me. And hope you could consider that. Dunkin' had tables and chairs, and we have tables and chairs, and Dunkin' was called retail, and now we're a restaurant. And the process is taking away my free rent, which is 4 months. So, can we get this done? I hope.
All right, thank you. Do any of the commissioners, Mr. Tabor, do you have any questions?
I don't have any issues.
Mr. Elmer?
No, sir.
Mr. Turner?
Just a comment, I want to welcome you to the Mystic community, hopefully everything goes smooth. I'm a New Haven pizza boy, so I'm hoping that we have something that is comparable on a thin crust, something that will really excite us, because, you know, we have pizza restaurants, but we don't have.
I've been to your pizza restaurants, and I've enjoyed them,
Yeah, good.
and I hope we stand up to your expectations.
I have a motion to send this on to the zoning board that we don't see any issue with parking or safety with this.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Good luck.
Thank you.
The next thing under new business is the application for 44 William Street. Is there anyone here to speak about that?
Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. For the record, Sergio Terenzia with Terenzia and Associates, offices at 99 Mechanic Street in Pawtucket, Connecticut. We have submitted, on behalf of my client, Candace Rogatis, it's under AAA Trust LLC. a modification to the building at 44 Williams. Some of you may notice that there's been some significant improvements to the property, at least I think that there's been significant improvements with respect to repaving, landscaping, and the building itself, all new siding, windows, a minor expansion. That was approved administratively, but we had to come in for a special use permit in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission, which we did get approved, but a condition of that approval was any right-of-way improvements shall be subject to Department of Public Works and the Police Commission. As such, we're here before you this evening. The proposed change is going to be a change of use from a commercial retail space on the first floor. The second floor is a residential single-family apartment. That's going to remain as is, as improved. And the first floor, my client is proposing to renovate that space to a 3-room hotel. So these are the building plans. Right now it's relatively open. It used to be a package store, liquor store there. And that's now since been cleared out. It's really just some storage in there since it's been under construction. And they're getting ready to renovate it. He'd like to put a 3-room hotel along with a covered porch on the front of the property and a rooftop, the second-story rooftop deck, so which will be accessed from the second floor apartment only. So that'll be to benefit the residents up top here. There'll be a deck over the covered porch, as well as a portion of the roof with a privacy wall along the back. As you may have on your site plan, just direct you to, I think, what is the most pertinent to your concerns. However, I won't make any assumptions, but if there might be other questions you have. But right now, there's parking in front of the building, which forces people to pull in and back out into Route 1. A precarious and dangerous situation, I think you would concur. We're going to eliminate those parking spaces and still meet the parking requirements required by the town for the hotel and for the residents in the back of the property. So we think this is a general improvement. Makes it more street friendly, more inviting. There's going to be some landscaping. This is the landscape plan. And under the planner's recommendation, also a continuation of the sidewalk for a safe haven for people to walk on in and out of the property, and also buffer it from the street with some landscaping and that covered porch. So overall, we think this is a pretty good streetscape improvement. Reduces or eliminates the safety hazard, which was cars pulling in and out from the liquor store. And there will be 3 rooms here. We're very close to the train station. We would think that this would be appealing to people that don't even want to drive into Mystic. They may arrive by train and be able to walk to this space. But we do have ample parking, and it is walkable now, especially with the introduction of the sidewalk down into downtown Mystic. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them, or anything I missed.
Any of the commissioners? Commissioner Tabor?
Sergio, I think you already offered this, but just for clarification, there's adequate parking for the 3 units and the apartment upstairs on site in that parking area to the rear?
To the rear, yes.
Okay. And the second floor deck would be only used by the second floor residents?
Correct.
There's 1 residential unit?
There's 1 residential, it will only be accessed, there's no stairs to it, it will only be accessed by that unit. And then the first floors would have the benefit of staying on the covered porch and just another place to sit outside, because it's really not appealing in the back parking lot. You get some, it's on the street, but you get some people watching. It's a little more inviting than what is there now, just to see a pavement.
Commissioner Elmer?
No plans for food or liquor venues or any such thing?
So as part of our special use permit, we are allowed to obtain a liquor license, but it would only be in the rooms for wet bars or a bar, that type of thing. But no, there's no bar, there's no restaurants proposed as part of this. Although that is ancillary to hotels, it's not contemplated, there's not enough space for it on this site anyway. So, yes, you can, liquor will be, allowed on the premises, assuming they get a license for it.
Commissioner Turner?
Sergio, how many spaces are you allocating for each hotel room? Is there like 2 spaces or?
The requirement is, I believe, 4 spaces, 1 per room and 1 per employee. So we don't anticipate an employee's gonna be here. Everything's done on the phone and remote. If there's someone needs to, there'll be a manager that obviously will come if there's something that needs to be done. No, it's only, so it's 4 spaces dedicated to the hotel and then 2, I believe, for the residents is required. Yeah, 2 for the residential. Totals required is 6 and we're providing 9.
And I have just one follow-up question, that's not our purview, but just more curiosity. So this is a non-manned hotel where they have, where you actually go online, order your room, and then they're maintained? So there's not like a front desk and,
There is a front lobby. It's required, I believe, by code.
you know,
So, but you can see it's just an area where, before people go to rooms. I'm not sure if there'll be a kiosk there or something to check in, but most, like I said, it's on your phone. You get an Airbnb these days, that's probably what they'll use. You get a key or a code and you're on your way, you don't even have to see anybody. And if you have questions, usually you can text somebody on an app and they'll come and help you out. And then anyone that be working there to clean the plate, clean the rooms, they're gonna be from an outside source and they'll clean and they'll leave. So, we have a little linen storage area, but that's gonna be all done off-site. There's just not enough room to do it here.
thank you.
Just as an aside, thank you for the consideration of the sidewalk.
Yes.
I'll relay that to my client.
Thank you.
I have a motion to pass our comments if we don't see any problem with parking with this application under the zoning board.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Chief. Chief has a comment.
Just yet, 3 businesses right in the same area right here. If you guys all talk with each other, you may have some business synergy with each other because alcohol, you want alcohol in your place?
Yes.
People that are gonna go over there and stay, they're gonna walk across and either eat your food or your food. So get together out in the hallway, do package deals, whatever you can, welcome to Mystic. And everybody can work out. And also, all fairness to you guys, the commission basically looked at the parking. I mean, we moved very quickly. It's just a question of number of spaces. It wasn't like a no or something like that. We'll just forward off to the Board of Zoning that it's just a question of the number of spaces that are on the drawing. That's it. So otherwise, we wish all 3 of you all the best to Mystic. Get ready. It's been quite a summer over there. It's crowded. You're picking a good spot, and I'd like thick crust. I don't know what it is. That's a whole story.
Here we go.
A whole story. But,
Hold your horses.
what's that?
We make both.
All right.
But you should try international fusion cuisine
Not
as well.
Not to worry.
So if you eat all the time thin crust, then you have to go for running out there for half an hour. But we have healthy food here. Think about this.
Great. Thank you all 3 of you. The next thing on the agenda is the 9/11 Memorial Rides. And this is a submission by Back to Blue, southeastern Connecticut. They're doing a memorial ride on 9/11 through a number of towns, including Stonington. Today I got a call from Maria Knott, the founder of Back to Blue. She's in the process of obtaining the insurance that's required. And hopefully she'll have that. So, do any of the commissioners have any questions about this particular application? My recommendation is that we pass this contingent on the chief getting the appropriate insurance necessary for the ride to continue.
Yeah, I'll make that motion to approve the request contingent on the applicant getting the appropriate insurance policy for the chief.
Second. Any discussion from any of the commissioners?
No, sir.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Chief, you'll be getting that hopefully. The next thing on the thing is the Battle of Stonington, the 2021 race. Anyone here?
Hi, Jeff Anderson, nice to see you all again.
Yeah, you've been here before.
Yeah, exactly. So the Battle of Stonington is on, it's for Tuesday, August 24th, 6 p.m. in Stonington Borough. This will be our 11th running in 12 years, doing this from last year. We're expecting maybe 150 people, we had 300 2 years ago, but numbers are down. But it should be good. It's the same route as it's been every year, 2 times around in the borough. It's the old fun run course, and it starts and ends in Cannon Square. We've got all the proceeds go to the library. They're helping out with getting food donations and organizing it with us. The Dime Bank is the main sponsor, helping with volunteers too. So it's a good community project, and all the money gets funneled over to the Free Library.
Chief, do you have any comments on this? This is a very small portion of this race
Right.
and
It's
most
only
of it's
like
in the boroughs.
50 feet in the town, so as long as the borough is good with it, I guess.
Yes, I already have their permission, so.
If not, then you'd have to cut through a parking lot.
Yeah.
That's no problem. Jeff runs a good.
Have a motion to approve the 50 feet or so that's in the town of Stonington.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor? All set.
Just need the insurance and the hold harmless, everything.
Yeah, the usual things that
The
you.
usual, like you used to.
Very good, thank you.
Good luck. You running back to Mystic?
I might run afterwards. I have to run for pizza.
Okay.
Try out.
Okay. The next thing on the agenda is the Stonington Cross Country.
Yes. Richard Ward on behalf of Stonington Recreation and Stonington Human Services. This is our annual event. We're not sure if we should count as an annual event last year because we canceled, or if this is our 5th year or our 4th year. We're not quite
Whatever
sure
it is, fine
what
with
the
us.
protocols are on that.
Call it
So
whatever
it's
you'd
our
like.
4th year, I believe, running it. 5th year if we count it annually. This year in particular is we're going to pay particular attention to Tom McCoy, who, as you all know, recently retired, and we're going to be acknowledging him. He's the one that barks out the time at the end of this race here, so he'll be on site, hopefully barking nice and loud at the time as they come across the finish line.
Chief, do you have any comments on?
Is this where we sort of close off a little bit of the road?
We don't need to do this. They do cross Spelden Drive very briefly at the 4-way stop sign down by the baseball field.
Okay.
And other than that, they're on the side of the trails and the track in the fields and all that stuff.
Okay.
They have like a 30-second window that they need to cross Stone Drive. The other race is where we need to close down for the girls on the run. We didn't run that this year.
Okay. No issue.
There's no issue really. This is all in town property
Yeah.
and the town events. Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
All in favor?
Right.
You're good to go.
Thank you. Brian Harrison, I'm going to be signing you up for it.
I want to win again.
Food trucks. We're gonna add this to the agenda, the food trucks that we received. Talk about this.
Just have to make a motion to add that.
Yeah. Have a motion to add this to the agenda.
So moved.
All in favor? Okay,
Do you have the layout?
we do have the layout.
You just got it.
We haven't had a chance to look at it very quick just
We
yet
just-
today.
Yeah, we just submitted it, so.
We're gathering about 20 food trucks over to the Millston Hilton, across the street in the back. We're far enough, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We're gathering over at the Mystic Hilton in the back corner for gathering of about 20 food trucks on August 21st. So we want to present that to you. We give you the layout of where the food trucks will be and where the people will be entering and everything. The event's going to be running from 12 to 7 p.m. It's a free entry event. Anybody wants to come, it's free to just come on in and get some food from some food trucks. We're going to have a band there playing. We typically have a band there every Friday night, but this one's different because we have food trucks. Hopefully we'll have some people over.
I have a question. This is a very busy intersection. How are the people going to be coming in? What's the main entrance where they come in? It's an entrance off of Coogan Boulevard. That's not going to be used, right? They're going to use the main.
There's actually, sorry.
Go ahead.
There's actually 2 entrances into the Hilton.
Realize that, yeah.
So we're actually going to utilize both of them, just in case there was to be any traffic. We'll let them come in both ways.
Primarily though, the Coogan Boulevard entrance is gonna be used for the hotel guests, and the other entrance we're gonna use primarily for the food trucks. And we're gonna send them off to the right, as you go into the circle there on the bottom right, well, depending on how you look
Yeah,
at it.
so they're going to come in from the main entrance here?
If they come in from this way, where the circle is,
Okay.
we will send the food truck, people up to the right, and the hotel guests off to the left.
Okay.
Into that
There's a couple entrances on Coogan. You're not using.
There is one on Coogan, but that one mainly will be for the
Hotel
hotel
guests.
guests.
Okay.
And of course, exit, if anybody wants to exit out there, exit out there.
So you're gonna have staff or someone's gonna be
Yeah.
on site giving direction to these folks?
Each entrance will have a staff member, and also, just in case, we're gonna keep staff at crosswalks, just in case somebody wants to cross over, because we know that the aquarium is free now, people might want to come over and get a food truck. So we're gonna have staff there monitoring that as well.
Chief, do you have any comments or?
Well, it raises a question, what, staff, are they flaggers, they have vests?
They're flaggers with vests, yes,
Okay.
yeah, they have bright green staff shirts, and then they have their orange vests out there. And they've had their experience, they've done,
Well, it's
large-
lighted anyways right there, so if you hit the
Yeah.
button, you can go across.
Yes.
That shouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
My big question is, if you have a big crowd around the back, how are you blocking off, vehicles from intermingling with your walking?
We have cones and caution tape that's gonna be set up so the cars can't come along with you further.
Into the food truck area, you mean?
Yeah.
Or whatever area that you're setting it up, you know?
Yeah, we're gonna caution tape it off on both corners.
Yeah.
That way
If you
nobody
see-
can enter with
If
it.
you see, we're using the back corner over there, so that corner will be just zoned up just for food trucks. And there'll also be a way, I went over it with the fire department, so that it's gonna be clear, the trucks will be out on the exterior parts and up against the curb, so if an emergency vehicle needs to get through or something, it'll be able to just move the cones and we're let them right through.
Alcohol.
Hilton does have a catering license, they'll be serving, they have their bar open.
Inside?
Inside, well, they also gonna have a beer cart. There'll be a beer cart.
You're gonna have to check with them and make sure they're liquor licensed.
Oh, yeah,
They're
it's fully licensed and
For the parking,
for that.
usually, because a lot of times it's for the premises, the building alone.
Yeah.
And nothing beyond that. I know because of
I
COVID.
think it's
they
working on the
extend-
catering license for the Hilton, that works
Okay.
under there, yeah.
Just make sure, because you can't, if you walk
It's gonna be
around.
the same as what they do on Friday nights, out on the patio, they have the bar right there on the patio with the band. It's
Inside
just
the-
gonna be a cart sitting on the side of the patio with the band right there. So-
Because if, having lived this for too long maybe, they get their drinks, they walk around and then they decide to leave. And they go, and then it becomes our problem. So they start going somewhere else, almost the village, back to the
Yeah,
aquarium,
they're not allowed
into
to
their
leave
cars
unless
or
it's
anything.
alcohol.
So do you have anybody that's gonna stop, anybody that
The
is?
staff members that will be monitoring the grounds, they're gonna make sure, and they see anybody go to get into a car with anything. Just as, you can always only do your best, of course, but we
Right.
do, try to get 100%. There's no room for flaws.
With no alcohol. You maybe need some signs that say no alcohol
Beyond this.
beyond this point, so we need to have them like that.
We can do that.
And off the truck, they're only offering like low-level alcohol.
Just
nothing-
beer, maybe like
Beer.
seltzers.
Beer, seltzer, ciders.
I'm picking up
You mean
that.
of the truck or the
Off
car?
the
The car.
Well,
It's
it's
a car.
car, yeah.
It's a car, it's not a truck. It's
Uh,
full.
we call them all trucks because they all do as well, but, yeah, it's more of a cart than it is.
Does any of the commissioners have any issues, Mr. Tabor?
No. Other than, how are we going to delineate some of these items that we talked about to make sure that they have a, kind of a list of those things? We've done.
They certainly, I hope, are making copious notes over there, about this. And then, it raises another question, because alcohol being served, we are not gonna be there. It's not gonna be a police officer, or anything like that, unless, begs another question is who is the band? Cause if it's a high, band.
It's living the dream. I think you probably all know Rob Holland, who has a business in town.
Yeah,
He's part of it, but yeah, that's,
Classic 80s.
okay.
yeah, nothing,
No big draw.
No.
We don't have, who's the
Nothing
famous
against-
one
nothing
now?
against Rob.
Who's the famous one
Yeah.
now? We don't have that.
Because it changes, if there's a big crowd, I can by statute law require you to hire a police officer. Which would be a lot of the events, like the Art Festival this weekend, et cetera. But if it's just,
yeah, it's just Rob's band.
Rob, nothing.
It's not Led Zeppelin or something like that.
Okay.
Well, we'd be charging.
All right. Mr. Elmer, Commissioner Elmer?
No, I'm fine, but I'm sure Mr. Thin-Crust, am I right, is disappointed you didn't bring samples.
Commissioner Turner?
That's for you to come and try, well.
I'm just thinking, I'm hoping you're wildly successful with the event, but I'm just thinking about overflow parking. And my guess is the proximity with the Hilton and the aquarium, there could be overflow between the two venues. Because you said the hours of operation were from
12 to 7.
12 to 7, okay.
And we have been advertising that as such, for people to make a day of it, to bring them into the community.
Yeah.
To come to the food truck fest, to go over across the street to the shop, to go to the aquarium, so that, spend a lot of time.
And the way they come, every hour changes. 100 people, 100 cars, 100 cars, every hour. They got about 300 spots there.
And you said that you wouldn't be coming, you're certainly welcome to come, because we're gonna have a
I'm not
variety
gonna,
of.
I am not gonna play that night. No, I'm not gonna play the guitar.
No.
I think he was inviting you.
I'm inviting you on your own accord to enjoy the food, is what I was getting at.
It all depends, I may be out and about, we'll see.
I have a motion to approve, the food festival as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Yes.
Good luck, just
Make sure-
keep an eye on the alcohol, that's the big thing, that's the biggest, thing that sends things downhill, is if people start wandering about. I know it's tough to control, but if you have the signs out and you do your best, and that's all we can ask.
And that's why we limited it to low-level alcohol.
So you have a good time too, because anything after 10 o'clock at night, nothing good happens, so.
Oh, yeah,
it's good
that's
that
why
you
12 to
do that.
7.
Cutoff is at 7.
Especially if you're contemplating an annual event.
Yeah, of course, we wanted to go to,
Exactly.
the hometown of our company is Pockettstown, so, we want to jeopardize our community, and the people in our community, and other communities that we go to. We care about the people that come to our events, so
Good, thank you.
we'll work hard for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you.
What's your pocket like down here?
48 Morgan Street. It's my residence, just where we've registered the business.
Okay, I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know which.
I didn't see anything but food truck festival. Missed that one.
All right, good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck on everything.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Under old business, there is something under old business that wasn't in the minutes last month, is that we changed the, meeting, next month from the, second Thursday to the third Thursday of, September. We already voted on that, but it needs to go into the minutes, because for some reason I didn't see it in the minutes of the last meeting, so just a reminder, maybe we can put that in the minutes, Chief.
Yeah, when you do the
Yeah, yeah.
approval of the minutes.
Yeah. Traffic, under traffic,
Thank
remember we
you.
have a letter on the hidden driveway on, 94 Farm Home Road. Is there anybody here to discuss that? Please come up. Hello. yourself.
My name is Julia Leeming, and my parents, John and Maria McCarthy, are here. Can you hear me? I can help it. My name's Julia Leeming. My parents, John and Maria McCarthy, are here. My family and I are building a house at 4 Farm Home Road, and my mother wrote the letter. From the southbound approach, or from Route 1 driving up Farm Home towards Farms Road, our driveway is essentially invisible to any cars coming up. And we've now installed a mirror so that when we come out of our driveway, we can see whether there are any cars coming. But when we're coming down Farm Home to go into our driveway, I sort of pray that if there's going to be a car coming, and so far I've been lucky. My parents drive all the way down to the Wickedy Clock Fire Station and then come around that way because they're so concerned about turning into our driveway. And our contractors had a couple of phone calls of larger trucks that have to drive slowly, and they've, no one's had an accident, but it is a pretty tricky spot. So we think that a hidden drive sign coming from Route 1 on Farm Home Road would be helpful.
I think a few of the commission members have been up there already, took a look at that, and there's a rise that right
Yes.
before your driveway that
Yes.
causes that problem. I understand that. The issue that I think that we have is there's a lot of hidden driveways along that road.
Right.
And one of the things that I think would be best suited, there's a slightly beyond your driveway, there is a hidden driveway sign. It's kind of in the bushes. So my recommendation, my personal view, is that we take that sign, move it down past your driveway, and maybe have a sign that says hidden driveways as opposed to. So I think,
I think there's one missing too, because if memory serves me, it used to be by Midge Crowley's house on the corner there, the farm.
Yeah, okay.
Right there.
Sure.
When you first went
Yes.
around the corner there
Yes.
by, I forgot what their name is, but they used to be hidden driveway sign there because the house, your driveway's in the
Right.
berm, the little
Yes.
one, the old house right there,
Yeah,
used to have a
Keith
trailer.
Anthony was
Shay,
there.
I think
Yes.
it was
Right,
there.
and now it's Keith Anthony who lives there.
So before that, there was a hidden driveway
Okay.
sign.
I think that location would do it, because you're right, it's our driveway's hidden, and then the Crowley,
Well, the past Crowley's you can see.
Yeah.
It's around the corner, you come down,
oh, Burdick is the one, theirs is also
and
hidden.
you go up a little bit, and then you're down, and yours is down there. As you start to go up there, there used to be one right there, but like anything else, with time, snowstorms, and trucks hit it, and it goes off in the woods or whatever, sometimes they disappear on us. So I think if we put one there, and then probably, I think there is one up, north of Barnes Road,
There is.
but
Oh.
it driveways
Yeah,
there, and that way we don't have sign pollution.
Okay.
Because people will drive by all these signs, and they don't see it, they
Yeah.
don't see it, they don't see it.
so they get
So-
accustomed to it, and then they ignore it.
Right.
You have too many signs.
Right.
Right, so I think if we just sort of reimagine those two and then do it that way either side.
Okay, that sounds
Any of the
great.
commissioners have any questions?
No, but I live on Burns Road and I know exactly what you're going through.
Yeah.
As someone who goes back and forth on Farm Home all the time, past your driveway,
Yeah, it's hairy.
I'm
And
careful myself.
Yeah, and if kids were gonna drive someday, and that thought was scary enough for them, so.
Well, that's the trouble with a lot of these roads, I mean, we have quite a few of them, the old horse and cow paths
Right.
that where tar was put down on them in the early part of the last century, and now they've got to be 21st century transportation,
Right.
and it just is
Yeah.
it's constant give or take. There's a couple places in town that are dealing with the same thing, a rise, and they put in a house and a driveway right there, and it's
Right.
like, oh,
I know, I
oh
wish
boy.
our driveway on our property, the frontage is all wetland, except for this one little section. I wish our driveway weren't where it is, because if it were just a little bit farther away from the rise, we'd be fine. But zoning is the only spot that we were permitted to put it, so we're just stuck. But,
All right, we have a motion from the commissioners that we take this chief's suggestion and we move the signs to make it more appropriate to the hidden driveway on Farm Home Road, and and make the signs driveways as opposed to driveway.
So moved.
Sorry.
All in favor?
thank you very
Gotta
much.
give us a couple weeks,
That's
month.
okay. It's
It'll-
still a
it'll take
construction site.
Take a little while, so.
Okay,
good
thank
luck-
you,
good
thank
luck
you
with
very
that.
much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. You're welcome.
Next email is from Hidden Driveway Request on North Water Street. Is there anyone here who want to talk about that? The commission members have went out and, just for the record, have went out and looked at this situation. It does not appear that this is actually a hidden driveway. I mean, the problem appears to be caused by the amount of traffic that's taking place on the road and the speeds of those traffic. So I don't think that a hidden driveway sign is appropriate. In addition, this is a state road, and in order for the commission to get anything on a state road, we have to go to the state of Connecticut DOT and get permission from them to put signs out there. And the state of Connecticut is very resistant to adding additional signs anywhere because it produces additional confusion and sign pollution. So, Chief, do you have any comments on this?
I think he's called the PD in the past or been to the commission, I think probably years ago, probably 7 or 8 years ago.
Okay.
About speeding there. We did have the speed sign out there, but because it's a state road, we're not supposed to do that, so I think it helped a little bit. I'm still a little confused as to where this.
It's right on the intersection there. It's right there by Don Stop.
I don't think it would do anything.
I don't think it'll, no, I don't think so either.
The previous people that were here, no doubt had an issue because of topography. I'm not quite sure I see it. This is more of a speed issue, where I don't think that if it's truly a speed issue, that it's a speed issue, not a hidden driveway.
I agree. Any other commissioners have any comments about this?
Would it make sense to put one of the speed signs over there?
Can't put it out, can't put it out there, it's the state, have to get the state's permission to do that too.
We have to get permits.
Yeah.
It's a process that,
You're right. Okay.
and then we have to shut off, can't have it blink, and it has to shut off at so many miles an hour.
It's bigger than a red
It's
light.
not worth it.
Can we have a motion that we have the chief respond to the email that's been submitted on request for the driveway signs stating that the commission doesn't see this to be appropriate, and the reasons being that it's a state road, right?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We also received an email, the next thing on the agenda is number C. We received an email regarding the intersection of Route 2 and Route 1. Is there anyone here that wants to talk about that? This was an email sent to us by Beverly Gibbons. And Beverly Gibbons suggesting that we add a roundabout to the intersection. Those of you that are familiar with this particular intersection know that it's bordered by the Amtrak property, bordered by the gas station and Seawell, and this intersection has been under study for way before I ever became on the commission, right, Chief?
It has been under study and looked at for 60 to 70 years. So it started back in the 1950s. I have pictures actually of the traffic light at the intersection that did not work. Granted, it was before Route 78, but the beach traffic used to come down by the Parker Firehouse to Route 1, made a left to go into Rhode Island. We used to back the traffic up to where is now the old Foxwoods is. So that's how far it used to back traffic. It didn't work. So what they used to do is put a police officer down there, and let's face it, we don't solve a lot of those issues with police officers at an intersection. So it was a nightmare. So the state took those lights out. To put in lights right now at that intersection would be probably $1.5 to $3 million project to do that because of the engineering, because of the ins and outs and everything that goes on there and the distance. And the roundabout, they already looked at the roundabout. They don't have enough room there, and you're not going to deal with Amtrak. Amtrak isn't going to give up any property and anything like that. So it's just not worth it. So they did make improvements about 11 or 12 years ago down there. They did change a few things. So they look at it. Remarkably, there's few accidents there for the amount of complaints. There's actually more complaints than there are accidents. So it's actually a good thing. It also helped, not in a good way economically, but in a good way traffic-wise, with Harris and Yardney no longer having, 300, 500 employees going down Mechanic Street that did come out and make the turn there. So actually the crossing traffic out of Mechanic Street is a lot lighter than it has been in past history that's there. So I got the pictures of the traffic lights if anybody wants to see what they look like there and stuff like that, but it just doesn't work. Let it slip and dog lie, I guess.
Well, as an interesting sidebar, all the traffic lights except one are owned by the state of Connecticut. The town of Stonington only owns one traffic light in the entire town, and that is at Coogan Boulevard by the aquarium, between the aquarium and Old Mystic Road. So that's the only traffic light that the town owns. All the rest of them belong to the state of Connecticut. Just as an interesting sidebar. To have a motion to have the chief respond to Mrs. Gibbons explaining that this has been studied and that this is not a feasible option, this roundabout.
Including photographs.
I don't think we need to put any photographs.
So,
I can make a copy.
Sure, yeah.
the second.
Second, all in favor? Motion passes. You take care of that, chief?
No problem. They haven't been read a lot of letters this month. No problem. My hand will be like that.
Well, yeah, get a second. The next on D is parking on North Stonington Road. Is there anybody here who'd like to comment about parking on North Stonington Road? Let me just comment. Can you come up a little, because we can't hear you here. The commission has received a number of letters pro and con about the issue of parking on North Stonington Road, but we want to hear comments from people that live up there and have other issues.
Well, we have.
Look out, look out.
Thank you.
Daughter in charge. Daughter in charge, right, this guy, the old one on front, yeah. No, we worked on a few things since we had the meeting where we came out in June. We talked about and we received the okay from the first elections office about using the parking lot at the old school. I've been in contact with Grover Insurance, who's our carrier. They've talked to our underwriter. They say there's not an issue. Well, actually, I should have had it this afternoon or tomorrow morning. The rider and all of the insurance information to pass on to the town of Stonington that they requested to be able to use the parking lot. They've asked for, off parking insurance and that kind of thing. So our insurance carrier says no problem. It's just a matter of everybody's slow these days. I get on the phone and I leave voicemails and voicemails and voicemails, and finally I drove to the downtown Mystic area yesterday in the nightmare parking that Mystic has to get to Grover Insurance on Gravel Street so I can deliver the stuff that I had to pick up from the town hall. And he was the square footage, so I went to the town hall, I went to the assessor's office. The gal there was wonderful, she helped me figure it out off the card how many square feet we were going to be looking at for using as parking. And so I took that and the paperwork back to Mystic and left it with the insurance company and Grover Insurance. And Janet said they've already talked to the underwriter a couple of weeks ago when I first started the process, which was in the first part of July, well, right after we had our meeting. And she said, they've already cleared it. They said it's just a matter of getting the paperwork in, getting the square footage, writing it up, and for the time period. So we picked September, October, and November for those 3 months. So when I've also they haven't arrived yet, I was hoping they would be here by now. I had a couple of sandwich boards made that say Clyde's overflow parking. If you don't mind the height, you may park here with the arrows. So we'll set them up and we'll secure them somewhere at the entrance of both sides of the building so that they can park on either side in the parking lot in the back. We've also reached out numerous times to a couple of limousine services. Joshua Limousine was another one. Same thing. Voicemail, and no response, nothing back. I'm not sure if it's just lack of, you know, like everybody else, it's a
Help.
lack of help, you know, they don't have the people to get back to you. I mean, not block subject two, block the roofing, you've got a leaky roof that's 5 years old, can't get them to return a phone call, it's just, they're just so busy, and everybody, you know, is short-handed.
He's playing at the Hilton, that's why I go to the Hilton, the food trucks, Rob will be out there.
There you go. I'll say it's 5 years old, it's leaking, you've gotta come fix it, you know? But he hasn't, you know, but I understand that, you know, everybody's short-handed, small businesses are short-handed, so they kinda have to, you know, things get slide, so, but that's where we are with that. I'm at a point where I'm gonna go to Florida and buy my own little, I've already talked to the insurance agent, she doesn't think I'm that crazy. 14 person or less, you don't need a special license to drive a little transport, you don't need one, and there's plenty of them in Florida. And so, but for this year, and then I've had a few more little signs made about get your tires off the, you know, the.
All 4 tires off the pavement, or you
might
get a ticket,
you know.
I mean, you know, be considerate.
And then I've talked to Randy
Traffic.
Whitford, we're gonna get ready to cut the bushes on his side so that we can get cars back off the road there. So, you know, we looked around the property, and we tried to figure out, maybe we can get another 3 spots if we pull out the lilac bush that my great grandmother planted in 1900. So, you know, well, and I want to do what we can do. And
We also have, we're gonna have all the employees parked down and then drive them
right,
off.
we're gonna try to get
So,
everybody down in the.
That way,
parking lot.
that frees up another 10 or 15 spots.
Spots.
You know, I mean, we're gonna try, because we typically park on top of the hill where people really can't get in and out anyway.
Right, you know,
We
brought-
stack ourselves in
right,
there
we packed,
as well
what I
at the
call
same
it,
time.
you know, belly button to butt, everybody parked and then everybody parked in behind them. So it kind of packed everybody up at the top. So we didn't take up that many spaces, but
There's also a garage up there
there's
where
also a garage that we.
people back into the
we
garage
park.
regularly when we don't park up there.
Yeah.
It's just tricky, you have to back all the way out from the
Because it's
parking
very
spot.
narrow kind of there, that's why we
Yeah,
have
so
the
people hit the
employees
garage
park
constantly,
one
but-
after another, you know, they just drive straight in, they don't try to, you know,
Back
park
in, back
parallel.
out,
Yeah.
hit the garage.
So everybody has to wait till the last guy in gets out or they don't go home. So, and then we also, I have to say that we're at 8 to 10 weekends a year, but this is a problem going on in the town. And I have to say that I went to Mystic about 3 weeks ago, and I got down around Williams, Washington Avenue, and I took a right, and I stopped. And I thought it was Jackson Avenue, and I thought, is this turned into one way? And I looked, and I saw cars parked this way and cars parked that way. And I said, no. But when I started down Jackson Avenue, I'm looking and I'm saying, if a car's coming the other way, there is no way that we're gonna pass.
I saw the same thing on Forsyth Road, I took a picture of it.
So,
I was
you know,
driving my
so we
Yukon
kind
down
of-
there, there's parking on both sides of the road.
Yeah.
And if there was a car parked on the other side of the road, I wouldn't have gotten it.
Right, so, you know,
It's like that with
and
most
we
streets in
we
Mystic.
realize that
I mean,
that is
Bay
part
Street.
of Mystic. This
Yeah.
is our hometown, and while it's not perfect, it's what we have. And, you know, she lives on Oak Street in Mystic, right in the center of all of this, and so she says it's part of living in a tourist town, and this is what the state of Connecticut is, it's tourism. So we all have to bend a little bit, and we all have to realize that there's not a solution, it's not a perfect solution, it's not a perfect solution to our parking problem, and it's not a perfect solution to the Mystic parking problem. And people can just bring their simmer level down a little bit. You know, we'd all have better blood pressure, but we'd all, you know, seriously, we'd all be a little bit kinder place to live in.
And the locals know that
Right.
we're open,
Right. And
if
that's,
they're driving down that road, they drive very slowly,
Very
and
slow.
most of them avoid
and most of
altogether.
them will come up to the corner and they'll take a left onto Lincoln Hill Road there and go the other way. They'll say, I'm not gonna fight my way past that, I know I can go around. And, you know, and, but we
Well, like I
just,
said, that's like me living in Mystic.
Yeah.
I know going down, I live on Oak Street. Bay Street's a 2-way street. Everybody parks on one side of Bay Street. If you get halfway down that road and someone comes off Homestead Bay, someone's gotta back up. And there's bicycles riding in between you, and people walking it, but it's the way I choose to live there. I deal with it. It's only summertime. There's pros and cons.
and you look out for the other person.
You know, and it's
Try to be
and
cautious.
like I said, it's for our town, it's business, it's summertime.
Right.
You know, it's good for the economy, people coming in, you know, it's good for us, and that's what we're trying to put into, is, because when we bring people in, they don't just
they don't just come to the mill. I mean, we get people coming from across the country that come and stay in Mystic, and they visit the aquarium, the seaport, the Old Mystic Village, downtown, you know, the borough, they stay in the hotels, they eat in our restaurants. So it's, you know,
We're part of it.
so.
And that's, so we're, you know, and if anything changes down the road, like we keep saying, keep our fingers crossed that someday we might be able to buy some property around us. I mean, we're first on the list. And at some point, maybe this will alleviate our problem. We could buy out behind us and, you know, get extra parking. I mean,
Right,
we
what,
love
6
that.
acres behind us?
Right,
That
right.
hopefully someday we'll be able
We'll
to
be
get,
able to buy.
that would be a good parking area and
And
we'll be
let
able to
me
park
just keep
cars
our
back
fingers
there.
crossed until then and keep trying to bring, this is our 140th year right now. This is our birthday.
Imagine that meeting.
We turn 140.
Could've made a parking lot.
And, you know, I got 5 generations and there's number 6 generations out there. And we wanna make sure that 6th generation is gonna be able to be as viable as my generation. So we hope you consider all that and,
Mr. Turner, you
We can just try.
have some questions?
I just have a couple of questions, not questions so much, but more comments. And to make sure that the minors understand, that this commission and you are on the same page. When I go to your website, the number 1 sentence on your website is the health and safety of our guests, as well as our family of employees, is the number 1 priority of Flat Saginaw. We have a national treasure there. We're not allowed to put you out of business, but we want the safety of this community paramount. So I applaud you for doing the initial steps to start making it safer for people visiting your venue. When I'm a neighbor there, and when I use that track all the time, I get very concerned when I see a mother with a stroller in the middle of the road when you guys are busy. So yes, I hear you that you're only open 8 to 10 weeks, but during those 8 to 10 weeks, we have to be as safe as possible for our visitors and for the
And I see the
residents.
same thing in Mystic.
Because all we need is one disaster.
right, that's always a possibility,
Right.
always. And, but like I'm saying, now, we've moved the parking, if people wanna park in the store, the old school walk up, they may be walking up with a baby carriage and a stroller. So is that, you know, how, you know, I throw my hands up in the air. You
Yeah.
can't stop somebody from choosing to
No,
do that.
I
You know
understand
what I
that,
mean?
but
Even if you said
if
no
we can-
parking on either side of the road, they would still, you know, they still have the right to be able to walk on the street if they choose to baby stroller. And pray to God that nothing ever happens and that nobody ever, we have never had an accident up there actually, but, you know, it's always a possibility. It's a possibility all over town. We don't, you know.
Good luck on September 1st, because it's coming pretty quick.
I know, Bill. I just,
So I have another question about the school. How will you encourage people to start using that lot? Did you
Well,
say there's sandwich boards there?
I'm
Is that-
not yet.
You'll have an attendant there, or somebody saying,
Well,
use this lot, or?
not at this point yet, but that may be a
Yeah.
possibility. I may have a hire a 16-year-old if I can find one that wants to work, you know, yeah, that's the problem.
But we'll also put it on our social media page, we'll put it on our website, we've
Website,
got
and-
Instagram,
And I thought,
Facebook,
I'm actually
Twitter,
gonna
whatever they
walk
all are.
up myself and I'm gonna time myself and I figure if I can walk it up in 3 or 4 minutes and I'm gonna put a big sign up, I can walk it in 4 minutes, you'll be fine. But,
As far as the limousine companies or whatever, did you ever check with the school bus company?
no, we haven't.
Because they have smaller buses, I know that, and they do on occasion, because it's a separate company than it's not owned by the school department,
Right.
but their own company, is it
Okay.
Lebar, or I forgot what the name of it. First student.
First student,
Right.
right, well, yes,
If you call
absolutely.
them.
I'm not against any of that.
Talk to them,
Okay.
they sometimes, I've seen them hired out
Okay.
for different events, and that may be a viable, something there. And
Absolutely.
especially if you're utilizing that parking lot, and you can have that
Right,
that
make them
loop
do-
start
yeah,
to go.
That would be wonderful. All right, we're not gonna give up, okay.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you.
Mr. Wells, Commissioner Elmer, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Mr. Tabor?
No, I would echo, Commissioner Member Bill's, comments though. You know, it is a community and, everyone certainly appreciates the history of the cider mill. And as a frequent visitor myself, I enjoy it. But similarly, as Bill indicated, we have a responsibility to ensure the safety for people that are visiting your facility, so that's our charge.
And just to reiterate a couple other things, we've already heard from the town attorney, he has already told us there's an all possibility that the town will be liable for anything that occurs on that road. So once we've been notified of that, that puts the liability on the town here, so we have that concern also. Certainly when things happen in Mystic, we're happy to address that also. I mean, I understand that. If I had my way, a lot of those streets would be one way, but I'm not the king of the world there. And especially, not so much Jackson, but Willow and parts of that. So I think that, we have an obligation, to solve this problem as far as the problem that's brought to our attention, which has to do with the parking along that road. I'm glad to see that you, made some inroads into solving your issue where your customers are gonna park and stuff. But as chairman, I have a concern about this particular issue about parking in there. Commissioner Elmore, you want to say something?
Is the town exposed liability-wise? In the event, she mentioned the example of somebody came up with a woman with a carriage. She gets stumped by a car. Is the town exposed? Do we have any exposure here in terms of liability?
I think you always have exposure when that's on any roads. If you're gonna utilize the satellite parking lot, then there's gonna be a number of things that probably should happen. Is if you can get transportation up, that's the big bonus. Number two is, there are a series of warning signs, etc., that would probably need to go out, like, I think we have one over here that's yield to pedestrians and crosswalks that we put in the middle of the art festival on US Route 1. But we would do something similar up in that area, the middle of the road, that would warn, or on the side of the road that would say pedestrians walking, etc., slow, right, different things, and also north of you on North Stonington Road. And I think we have to continue to be, and I don't know what their resolve is on the no parking end of it, but you're gonna have to probably put a lot of signage out there that we would have to look at and sort of approve. So I'd recommend to them that this stay on the agenda for next month as well. And if you're able to get like the bus company or something like that, that's a huge bonus for us. And then it would give us an opportunity, if you are utilizing that parking lot, to take a look at what the signs could be, should be, maybe, whatever it is, where we're gonna put them, and then we can bring it back to the Board of Police Commissioners next month, say, hey, this is what we have, this is where we're going, this is the parking spaces that we may have to eliminate on North Stonington Road to stop some of the issues. And if you've cleared areas and you can get the cars off the road, is that still gonna be viable? I mean, this is gonna be a little flux here for a while, I would guess, until everything's figured out. But if you're able to utilize the old school there, and you can put, 50, 100 cars down there, and people are using that and utilizing that type of stuff, great. Give them a thing for every 4 people that use the bus, they get a free donut. God, they'll be using it all day. Bob Cable rides the bus all day long.
No, Bob has carte blanche. This guy goes in and walks behind the counter, not with the donut, and he stands there and says, "Hi, ladies."
No, this Bob.
This me.
Yeah, that one, my name. Don't make this guy.
But I've known that guy for probably
I think
years.
the chief made some good points here, and I think that my recommendation is that we're gonna table this event, give you an opportunity to come back to the commission next month, tell us what you've done, and then we'll take a look at, decide what parts of North Stonington Road we're gonna have to park. There may be certain spots. We did go up there, and I think we saw maybe 4 spots we could get off the road there. But call Curtin Limo also, over in Waterford. Curtin, she has some small vehicles too.
And then another question also, if you would look at, if you're gonna say there's about 4 spots that you would like to change, would you consider looking on the opposite side of the road where you've said no parking all the way down, and possibly changing a couple of spots that we have been out and scoped out that are wide enough to, and not on a curve, that are wide enough to probably get whatever, 2 or 3 cars? Right.
Certainly, we'd be happy to look at that. We'd be happy to look at
So there's
that,
a couple of
absolutely.
spots that we could do that, even if it's just parking between these two signs, you know, we could get 4 cars on one side and another, you know, and up the
Completely
road,
open.
another
Sure.
4, and then
Absolutely.
we would look at that.
Yeah, we
Okay.
What we're looking for is the winning formula that
Everybody.
benefits you
Okay.
guys
Mhm.
and the police commission and
All
every-
on Team Chat.
I hope not.
and all the visitors up there.
Hopefully the winning formula is buying the piece of property behind us. It sounds
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And everybody comes in on North Stonington Road and exit on 184 and.
All right, so
Yeah.
we'll see you next month, but,
Okay.
call Curtin, no, I think they have some small interest
Okay.
that.
First,
student and.
but also check around, see who Groton uses, who Ledger uses, because some of them, you know, on the weekend, they wanna make a few extra bucks, and the school bus drivers, you may be able to pull that off.
Okay.
All right, great, see you next
Okay,
month.
thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Chief, the Lantern Hill Bridge structural interim repairs.
Well, that was a, email I got from the first selectwoman regarding, and I think I have a letter down there too about,
That is in the file.
they're starting-
Reclassification.
Yeah, reclassification and everything, so it's more of an FYI than anything.
The next thing on the agenda is streets closure for special events. We have Mystic Art Association Art Festival starting up this weekend, and we're gonna close some events.
Right, I think, sort of in our haste last month that we didn't specify certain things. And, for instance, like even the golf carts, which is down there, and some of the no
Right.
parking. So, just to clarify, I have it on the record that we will be closing certain streets during the Mystic Art Festival. So, what we would be doing is all of Holmes Street, other than what I guess we'd call the north end of it,
Bay Street.
up by Bay Street, will only be open to local traffic, which would mean if you're a homeowner, all night long on Saturday night into Sunday morning and all day Sunday. So basically from Saturday morning at around 6 o'clock in the morning or whenever the signs go out, from that point until Sunday and the event is over and it's cleared out, Holmes Street and Cottrell Street will be closed, as well as to a degree Bay Street. Bay Street will be able to, and you also have Oak and Isham. So we could have talked to her about Oak, she was right here. So I just wanted clear and on the record with the Board of Police Commission and the local traffic authority that we are gonna have those roads closed and open only to local traffic, which would be a homeowner's thing. And I think as we move forward with some of these events, especially these larger ones, I think we have to almost make it clear and on the record that, hey, this road is gonna be closed during this time. And sometimes, oh, we're gonna have the event, yeah, you're good or not good, but okay, what does that mean as far as the local traffic authority goes? Yeah, we are closing that road. And then we can put the appropriate signage up there, and we can take the appropriate enforcement action if somebody doesn't abide by that, because the local traffic authority is deemed that the road is closed at that time for like parking. So no parking is gonna occur in areas that normally are good for parking. So what the purpose of this is truly that if somebody shows up and decides to park their car there, and they go, it's a parking space, say, no, we have closed that road or closed that area, and it's a no parking zone, and we have had this on the record. And that basically is a process so that if somebody bought a ticket or a tow, that we have done it correctly, that yes, we have indeed closed this and no parking.
Can you give us a list of the roads that you'd like to have closed and put them in the record?
Well, it's Cottrell Street, Holmes Street, Bay Street, Isham, Oak, Fraser, Haley, and Stanton.
Okay.
Forsyth. And we have signs that were made up by the town highway that says, and they're big, road closed, local traffic only.
So those streets, just so I understand, those streets, parking will not be permitted either,
No parking,
no parking, so that includes Bay.
includes Bay.
So all of Bay will have no parking.
Correct. So at, probably tomorrow, there's gonna be signs put out on Bay that basically say, starting at this time, no parking. And that'll be it. So if anybody wants to park there, we'll make an attempt to notify them. If not, then thank heavens, here comes Evans. The record comes, takes it away. So, and then up in the heights, if you wanna call it, we will also do Church Street, Reynolds Hill, and School, and Brown. One side of the road that normally is, no, there isn't any signage or anything about parking up there. We will make one side of those roads no parking, because if you don't, they'll park both sides.
You won't be able to get
You
there.
won't, you can't get a scooter up there. So it just becomes gridlock. So I think it becomes important just to put it on the record. So I just want to do that. And also the use of golf carts, that was also something that sort of in our haste and everything that was going on, that in sort of the new crew down there with the Mr. Chamber, one of the things in the golf cart, I don't know what you want to call it, edict that the police commission did years ago, long before any of you were on the commission, about golf carts. Said that special events, the police commission could give special dispensation to allow that during the event on roads that were closed. So I would ask the commission to approve our festival use of golf carts during the event, because it utilized them on the roads that are closed. And small section of Route 1 just across, we should be able to help them with that.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the use of golf carts during the Art Festival for the upcoming weekend?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Can I have a motion to put on the record the no parking streets and the street closures that the chief just brought forth, just so it's on the record?
So moved.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the list is traffic study Dunkin' Donuts drive-through. That's really a misnomer, and that happens to be, we got a traffic study that came about that's about almost 20 years old, and really it's a traffic study with the Dunkin' Donuts that's by Seasport.
But I think it's gonna be the new pizza place.
Yeah, it is.
So I don't
Yeah,
think
it
it's
is.
that.
But I
Yeah,
mean-
and we included that 2006 study as an attachment to the special use
Yeah, I didn't see
permit
any problem with
application. The pizza, Lewis doesn't plan to use the drive-through, so that was just that was just to represent the parking and to show the existing.
I was looking for driving through and grabbing a slice. Come on.
I think
Come on.
we talked about, I think, the logistics of having a slice on demand at a drive-through is too much.
Sure. So that's just to keep for the drive-through for future usage.
Correct. There may be an attempt down the road to come back and look at maybe adding 1 or 2 additional parking spots where that drive-through is. There are 2 spots that are designated for employee parking there now, and there may be room for 1 or 2 additional spots before you get to the Enterprise. They've got a loading bay there, which is obviously no parking, but
That's where they wash the cars.
yeah, something we will to consider after the sewer moratorium is lifted if we're looking at more seats in Enterprise.
You know, if you eliminated the deep dish option, that you could reallocate personnel, so maybe to man, maybe, but the chief, I guess, would not like that.
Okay. We're good with the traffic study.
Okay.
Thank you. Next thing on the item is Merritt Hill Road speeding, and this is an email that we received from June. She has been here before the commission regarding speeding on Lamp Hill Road, and this is always an issue. Since the time she's been here before, we have put a traffic speed sign up there, and we're collecting the data there. We haven't downloaded that, right, Captain? So we're still in the process of getting it. The problem with speed enforcement, it only works for a length of time, and you can't change everybody's attitude. So even though when we have available manpower, we do send somebody up there to do radar enforcement, you're not gonna change the attitude of people. It's a through way from Stonington to North Stonington to the casinos. There's a tremendous amount of traffic going there, and it's difficult to really change people's attitudes about speeding. It's very difficult. Chief, you got any comments about that?
Well, I'm disappointed by the email that says that, oh, well, it's always been that way, and well, we don't want to ticket workers headed to Foxwoods. I'm not quite sure where that comes from, but.
It's gotta be selective.
I mean, yeah, Lanton Hill Road is turned into a cut through for workers, and if you go on your GPS and you live in Mystic, or you're at one of the hotels and staying and you punch in Foxwoods, which way is it gonna take? It's gonna take you up Lanton Hill Road. And unfortunately, as we know, every month, we get complaints about speeding, people are in a hurry, and yes, that happens. We'll have the data, that's for sure. And I mean, you have a straightaway there, and I know she lives on the straightaway. I believe she's the owner of the gardens right there. And yeah, we've had some incredible speed there. We've had cars doing 90 miles an hour through there. And it's not good. It's straightaway.
Yeah.
And if we catch them, I'm not sure that if you work at a particular organization that you get a free pass. I don't know about that. So, that's my comment.
Okay.
Good, bad, or indifferent.
Any commissioners have any comments?
No, sir.
Okay. Next, the Letterbury Lanton Hill Road, and this is from the South Sea Council of Governments, Chief, on the reclassification of Lanton Hill Road based on roadway characteristics.
Yep, I think it was to make the town eligible for some funding. So they needed it that day. So
Sounds good. Our road information only. Cottage Street at Haley, compact car only. Some of the business people that are on Cottage Street have approached myself and I think Commissioner Tabor regarding the sight lines when they come out of Haley Road looking to the north. And if there's a large truck or vehicle there, sometimes it's difficult to see people coming down the road. So one of the things that we suggested is that one slot, the north parking slot just north of Haley, be signed compact car only. Hopefully that will improve the sight line there. But we really got a lot of comments about the fact that the traffic pattern has improved the traffic flow and parking there on Cottrell Street. But if we can help this a little bit, we're going to do that. Any discussion from the commission members?
Thank you.
Can I have a motion to assign the northern parking space at Haley, just north of Haley, as compact car only?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes. Need a motion to accept the minutes of the regular board police commissioners meeting of July 8th, 5 p.m.
So moved.
Discussion on that. Missing for that for some reason.
I think it's on the June meeting.
Is it? Where is it?
I thought it was in the June meeting, not the July, that you made the change to the date. I think it was the one before. I can double check, but I'm pretty sure it was in that.
I thought we did it last month, but now we did the month
I
before.
think it was June.
Okay.
I can double check it for you, but
I just
do you
wanna
want
make
to
sure
do
it's
it
in there.
anyway, just in case?
Okay.
Thank you for noting how late I was.
For next month is going to be the third Thursday rather than the second Thursday for next month, so everybody knows. All right, so we don't need to do those. So I need a motion to accept. I have one from you, Mr. Tabor. Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. just let me know personally.
I will, I'll
Thank
email
you.
you. Mhm.
We'll also make sure that the change of meeting date gets on the town website as well.
I'll make sure Natalie tells them,
Okay, please.
Mhm.
We have to do a special meeting notice,
Right.
Yeah.
cancellation.
Yeah, I just.
She has to do all that.
I know it usually shows up.
She has to do that paperwork to change it, yep.
Now we're ready for the report of the chief.
Well, first I have to say I was disappointed that you didn't bring up the guitar playing at the kids' camp. That,
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Would you like,
so, no,
would you like me
no,
to send them
no,
that photograph
no.
so that we have of you playing the guitar?
It wasn't me, it was the kids, right?
No, you were playing guitar too.
Okay. First in your packet, you have the old and new fiscal year budget report. So the new fiscal year really doesn't show much. Old fiscal year shows some accounts way over, but the bottom line, you can see that we have a banker on the board. Over 350,000 went back to the town. 350?
I think so.
Yeah, okay, so far so good. So, I mean, that's a big thing, is that we're in the black, not the red when it comes to that. A lot of that had to do with the exit of number of police officers, so mostly in salaries. In the monthly report, as you can hear the sirens while you've been sitting here, summer is here, going at it. I even went on 2 calls today. The medical that turned into a fight, that turned into not a fight, that somebody falling down the stairs, and then an alarm at the same time, and then I think one officer, he went on 4 accidents today, and I think each one had injuries. So it is summer in Stonington right now, so you get reflects in a lot of the numbers that you see in the monthly report. On a good note, but also a sad note, somewhere last Friday, about 10 o'clock in the morning, a medical came in, subject not obviously breathing, CPR in progress by people that were there. One of our new officers, Anthony Brito, arrived along with veteran officer Ed Cullen. 2 doses of Narcan were given and brought the person back. The ambulance arrived and gave IV Narcan and brought the person back and was sitting up and talking. So somebody was down and out, and it was over, and the officers, again, here to save the day. So that's a new officer, Anthony Brito, and so nice job on their part. So wanted to make sure that's on the record. We have our alarm report, special event schedule, as you can see, starting to kick into gear. And then we have a bid waiver request by Lieutenant Schneider, who could not be here tonight, but it's for Glacier Computer. Basically, Glacier Computer is a spin-off of our other computers that we're using in the vehicles. This is to support the body cam installation. We're going a little round with the finance department on the money end of it, but I would recommend that the Board of Police Commissioners grant the bid waiver to Glacier Computer for our MDTs. There'll be 9 MDTs.
I have a motion to approve the bid waiver for the mobile data terminal.
So,
Second. All in favor?
And I believe he has been to the Board of Finance and taking care of that already. It's just a matter of maybe a little mix up in a 1 and a 5 got mixed up in the budget, which means a lot of money for us. Let's see, body cam update. The body cam cameras are in, but obviously we're not ready to implement yet from an IT point of view, internally, a variety of different things, but we do have the cameras on site and in the captain's office in a box ready to go when we're able to, and the infrastructure is in and ready to go. Policy, training, there's a bunch of stuff that's gonna go on. Captain and the chair and myself went to Middletown last week to the state police headquarters and had a couple of meetings up there, but the main reason was for a microwave link request. When we did our radio system here, we knew that we were on a spoke, we call it, with our fiber. So fiber phone line is how we transmit to all the towers in the state of Connecticut, not to get too geeky. But anyways, the fiber line from here goes out, goes up to Rocky Hill, and we're able to utilize the entire backbone of the state radio system. Many communities, or a vast majority of them, are on fiber that comes in from two different ways into their police department or into a tower, so that if one of the lines get cut by like a tree limb down, a traffic accident, it doesn't throw your radio system into a tither. Or, like most of the communities, they have a microwave link that connects them to towers and off. So the state of Connecticut basically has suggested to us to examine, look at, and it would be preferable on their part that we do a microwave link from our antenna here to North Stonington. It will also act as a backup to 911, 911 system. So if our 911 system went down with the state because of the fiber too, that comes in on the spoke on the one fiber, that it could go off and do that. The cost is about $131,000, give or take, and maybe a little bit more because of some backhaul issues that have to occur, like a evaluation of our tower, North Stonington. I did meet with the commissioner briefly, and we did have a discussion through Clayton Northgraves about having the state pay for anything in North Stonington, and we pay for what goes on in Stonington. So we're in a negotiation right now. I've spoken with the first select woman and made a request through her to utilize some of the CARES Act money for this, because if not, then it's going to go into our SIP account coming up this year, later on in the year. So I think it's definitely a good use of the funding and money that's there for a sort of infrastructure. I wouldn't even call it an upgrade. It's very similar to the water loop that they have going in Quest and Parkaduck. There's only one way in with the water. They want to loop it around so that if one leg gets cut, the other, we still have water. We're in the same boat. So just so you know, if our fiber gets cut, which has happened 6 times since we have had the state radio system, doesn't mean we're down and out. It just means that this isn't working up here behind the PD. So we're still having mobile coverage in the police cars from North Stonington and Groton, but it brings our level down. So on a portable radio, you could be in a little bit of trouble. So what we do is then we have to shut certain things off and go to a thing called the consulate, which is a bit of a process to get up and going, and takes about an hour, about an hour to get that up and going, set, ready to go, and then you're in business with your portables. But if we had a microwave link, if the microwave went down, our fiber kicks in immediately, and the microwave link would become our primary way of communicating with the state, and the fiber becomes backup for that. So we're in that negotiation. I have not met with the vendor. We've only met with the state people. So granted, it may go up in price, but it may come down if they haven't met the captain's negotiation skills yet either on the pricing. So we'll see how this works out. But I think, especially with the money that's there, that it becomes a good use of funds. That's for sure in the future.
Mr. Chairman, can I offer up an observation?
Certainly.
And I just thought of it as you were talking about this microwave thing. My tenure on the commission ends in October, and I was thinking about it the other day. probably brings joy to some people's hearts, but, it'll be disappointing to me, but in all seriousness, in that 5 years, and it's not just because I've been on the commission, but in the 5 years, the department, on behalf of the town, has accomplished a lot in technology. Starting with, the whole change to the communication system. And whether it's the body cams, this microwave link, my observation or thought is, is it sensible for the department, not to make your lives any harder, but to come up with a report, just a bullet report to the town, to the select women, enumerating these improvements that have been done over the last 5-year period, pick a 5-year period. So a report to the community as to what actually has been accomplished, obviously with the help from the Board of Finance, because they funded all of this. But still, I think it'd be nice to demonstrate in a snapshot view what has been accomplished, so that the community maybe gets a document or it's on the website as to what's been accomplished, because there's been a lot of heavy lifting, and it's been on your backs to accomplish all of these things. We've approved a lot of this stuff, but you're the ones that kind of keep the town moving forward on the technology front, which is forever changing. And I think you've done more than a credible job, and I commend you for it. And I just think it'd be nice to be able to let the town know really what has been accomplished. Just thought. I have these
I
thoughts
remember
on
you were just on the commission,
Yeah.
not to reminisce too much, but when you were on the commission and we went to a meeting in another community
Yes.
with along with the chairman of the Board of Finance. And we basically, for lack of a better term, were bringing our checkbook with us.
We were.
As the town to approve a radio system. And when we went, some things changed.
Right.
And the banker that you were I don't like this. And I don't like it either. And we walked away.
We did. We walked away.
We just.
Much to the surprise of the other attendees.
Yes, and very surprised when it was nice talking to you.
Yeah.
We basically walked out. But it resulted in that walking out of that meeting, June, resulted in probably a $3 to $5 million savings to the town.
To the town.
Because then we had to go a different route, and that's when, soon after, the state came in and we were able to get on that route. So it's appreciated. When I became chief, now almost 14 years ago, I made a conscious decision to do one big project a year. Okay, you can't go to the well too often. You can't always demand. You can't, you know what I mean? There's other interests in your community too, in priorities in your community. But I tried to do one big thing here as far as infrastructure or equipment or things basically for officers to make their work easier. And thanks to the commission, the boards in town, because June was on the Board of Finance for a lot of years and had to see a lot of this stuff, and the support of them, we were able to not get everything we wanted all at once, but we were able to chip away at the things that were most important and priorities for the community. I think it was 6-7 years ago, I got asked to write a journal article, an academic journal article for a holistic journal, and it was all for academia and everything like that. And the title of it was Chasing Technology, Police Officer's Friend or Foe, something like that it was. And it questioned why we, in police work, are 5 years behind the general public in technology, and whether the hiring of police officers for the future, probably not in our careers, but down the road, are going to require not somebody with a criminal justice degree, but a degree in computer science or some type of technology, because of the amount of what you've seen, technology that is not just okay, nice to have, but is demanded of us nowadays to do the job day in and day out. And it shows here is, and I was gonna mention in a few minutes, is the town is about to hire their third IT professional. So we moved from a part-timer from the town hall, that split their time at town hall, to now the full-time IT director is out of this building. And now we have a second IT person going to be here with one at the town hall because of the amount of technology in this building and trying to keep up with it. Just look, I mean, even in here, we had trouble opening up the cabinet, never mind making it work. And it is not stopping. It is not going to stop for us when it comes to the future and what is going to be demanded. Some of the demands are not by our choice, but maybe legislative, or just because that's what you're going to have to do if you want to maintain a 911 center, if you want to keep your 911 ringing in your community, you're going to have to do the following. Phone systems change, technology in the cruises, like these tablets. We wouldn't be buying 9. We'd be coming in and buying 3 or 4 a year, and 3 or 4 a year, 3 or 4 a year, because we treat the money like it's our own. But yet, now we have to start to buy things, I think, at a little bit of accelerated pace to keep up with it. So we are chasing technology. That's what we do. But
No, I
appreciate
didn't mean to get us off the track at all, and I apologize, Mr. Chairman.
No,
but-
it's fine, you made a good point.
But I, people, the public we're bombarded with stories about police departments or the police on a daily basis, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. And I think it's important that the residents of the town of Stonington know what their police department does and how forward-thinking you folks are. And maybe picking technology as just a piece of that. But I think it's important to let people know what you do. And in cooperation with the selectmen and the Board of Finance, because it is a cooperative effort. But I think we should let the public know.
I think that's part of your good information to go out to, that we tried to do on the town website.
I would include the boat. I know that's more than 5 years ago, but it's not necessarily technology, but the police boat.
I'd love to include the boat.
Well, look at the boat. I mean, you can include it because we just spent, we got a grant, but the technology that is on it right now is really cutting edge. I mean, we had to use it today and go out and again, help save the day for some people in trouble out on the water. So, luckily we had 2 people around and were operators, so they zoomed right out and assisted. That's for sure. So I do appreciate your comments because it's a team effort. And this guy over here, he has to reel me in sometimes. I have some crazy ideas about what we need to do and where we need to go and keep the money. All right, because they look at the bottom line. Are you coming in with a 5% increase, a 7% increase? What's it going to equal? And even looking ahead at some of the building projects in town, we are not going to be 39 police officers in this community in 2 or 3 years. That's going to be, the number 42.
Yeah.
And we should have been or higher because next month we're going to have a extremely large project, the biggest project I think in the town's history will be before us. Sort of a spin-off of what we've already seen, but that adds, and you have the Campbell Grain building that was okay, and that's going to change. And when you look at population, a simple down and dirty number, it's not always accurate, but it's close, is for every 500 new residents, it should equal 1 police officer. So if you look at some of the housing projects that have occurred, that have added to the, the census, and even the boating community, if you look at the number of boaters, and you look at the number of visitors, all you have to do is go downtown Mystic. It's not the same number of people that you're used to. It's a lot more. That equals more calls, more of this, more of that, more demands, you name it. And we gotta keep pace with that.
I think just what we saw tonight here, the new businesses coming into town and changing things is a perfect example. I mean, everything from the Royal Restaurant to that hotel to the pizza place. I mean, it's an example that it's growing. People want to come to Mystic. They really do, and businesses are coming.
And that's not really the strict downtown either.
No, it's moving out.
And I know of certain other things that are gonna be happening that is gonna continue to add to our, culture service.
Okay, that's good.
Continuing down, we have officers at the academy. Just so you know, they are commuter class, which is,
Costing us some money.
20 hours every 2 weeks per officer, 60 hours of overtime every 2 weeks because of travel. And that was a labor board decision a number of years ago, so we have to pay them that. That's equaling, 60 hours, about $3,000 plus every 2 weeks. So that's putting our hurting on our overtime budget. So I would guess we're gonna go way over in our training budget.
Any defaults at the academy? Or all our people coming on to the academy staying on it?
So far,
Any
yeah.
drop-offs?
Yeah, no drop-offs. We actually had the officer from South Carolina. He was up today. He went to the town hall. He has all his paperwork done. All of his academy from South Carolina is at our academy. So he should be pretty good to go. He bought a house locally, sight unseen. I don't think he went to you, unfortunately, I'm sorry. But, we can only do so much. We can only do so much, Bill. But he's ready to go probably September 7th. So we'll be swearing him in that morning. 7 at 9 o'clock. He'll be here.
Training always costs us money. I mean, our expendable budget is a little bit over because we have to buy ammunition. If we could even get the ammunition, how expensive it was.
3 times the cost that we were paying previously.
And we spent almost $7,000 for ammunition, so they can train at the academy.
Yep. And so we have him coming on board, Kyle Miller very shortly, September 7th. And Captain has a whole group of candidates in the hopper. So probably in September, maybe a special meeting at some point in time, or we'll see where we stand for more interviews. So we still have 2.
I was driving yesterday and I happened to hear the chief from Groton. He was on a local radio station. Just as an invitee, but one of his comments was he actively solicited people to stop in and fill out applications for a police force. The public.
As did the East Line Police Chief on another radio station.
It's probably the same one. I'm sure it wasn't like Finkelstein.
Oh, maybe it was.
Sure was.
Maybe it was Finkelstein. I thought they said Groton, but maybe it was Finkelstein.
Yeah, so Mike was a former student of mine, so very well. And he was a police officer here, and so we recommended him for the position of there in East Line. So.
It was East Line.
Yep. Let's see, what else? We've had an uptick in, just want to call it bad behavior in the Park Rec section of town that we're actively trying to address in a variety of different ways. We've had an uptick in public drunkenness and homelessness and mental health, if you want to call it, in some cases. Last month, I made 48 referrals to our new community outreach specialist, Dana Rushlow, who is, she was at a meeting earlier today with myself and our chaplains. 48 referrals, and she just started on late June. So now in July, 1 month, this issue in Pawcatuck has a lot to do with, I believe, the local shelter in Westerly being full, and a variety of other social issues that are going on in the world. So I went down and spent some time with the lads and discussed a variety of different things in life and what's going on, and some pretty sad stories. But instead of just saying you have to leave, move on, and kick the can, what we've done is Dana was working and she came out and met with everybody. Two of them are homeless. One was living in the bushes, one was living in a tent. The other one did have housing at the time, but has since lost it, and offered a variety of different things, including getting them lunch that day. So instead of just you need to leave, we're adopting a little bit of more of a philosophy of how can we solve the underlying issue. We may not be able to solve it, but get the people there that can help solve it. So today we met with our chaplains that are also part of the Wesley Parker Clergy Association. And I said, hey, nothing gets better in your world than preaching to the people that need it the most and at the worst times of their lives, etc. So help us, because we are not solving it by arresting them. We arrest them for a minor violation, the court throws it out, or we're right back in that cycle again of things. Because if we catch them drinking, it's a $78 fine or $90 fine, and they don't pay the fine because they don't have the money, and then we get a warrant for them. It comes in for failure to plead. We now have to hold on to them here, and that results in usually a trip to the hospital, feeding them, a variety of stuff for a $78 or $90 fine. Not worth it. And then when they go to court, the court is not going to put them in jail for drinking in public. As a matter of fact, a lot of communities are just giving up the ship on that. So what is our solution here? And I think the only solution is I will talk with Chief Lacey in Westerly, not to just push from one side to the other and side to the other, because it hurts business, it hurts the community as a whole, to not address the issue. So we're trying to address it in a way that's humane and maybe to make a difference in somebody's life. So we'll see. So I've sort of given the chaplains, with the support of our Human Services Department, sort of a charge to go out and try and make a difference. When I went down, was it yesterday? Yesterday, the day before, I tried to make a swing by there every day. There was 12 people there. So 12 people that with no direction, no hope, probably living on the street somewhere or in a shelter. And how can we move them in a direction so that it's not a community issue or worse, an issue for them. So, just so you know, so I know once in a while we'll make a unfounded Facebook jab or complaint that is unwarranted, because there's a lot going on behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see it, trying to help this group of people. So that's sort of a social service. You've probably read a lot about police and social service and what can be done and not done. We still have our one officer assigned that does a weekly follow-up with mobile outreach to our mental health calls. And we're batting about 500 with that. So if you've had a mental health call, you're probably going to see a police officer after the fact, as well as mobile outreach offering as a follow-up to continue this stuff. And we're batting about 500 with it. So yeah, I need help, or I want this, or we can assist in some way. So it continues to be that way. A quick number off the top of my head through this part of August, I believe I was at either 16 or 18 referrals to Deanna for Human Services. So it's over one a day we're getting that from. think this is something that is starting to come more and more to the top, not just because we have done some things, but it's in the community right now. And I know the chair has gone down there. We went by the other day, we had a scouting mission, and we went down, something like
Four.
four down to this particular location. But it's something I think we need to probably try to get ahead of a little bit.
Certainly, it will help the businesses in that area too if we solve that issue, or try to solve that issue.
Right. And I mean, we could go leave every day of the week, but it's not a solid issue.
Right, yeah, right.
It may be a temporary solution, but it's not a true solution. Thoughts?
Do I have any thoughts?
Thoughts on that? Yeah.
I was just sitting here thinking that we have to hire a second person.
Well, I'm afraid Deanna is gonna get burned out because
Yeah.
she's good. I'm
Yes.
thrilled that she's back, because she was part of our domestic violence team many years ago and helped a lot of people in town. But she's got her hands full right now because things have changed a little bit. That's for sure.
There's a lot of structural support to help people. They just need the right person to guide them. And then that's her role, but I'm sitting here thinking that over one a day, that's a lot. So it's probably just scratching the surface.
Right, so that's, we had a chaplain meeting today and Deanna came in with it. And so I gave the chaplains a charge because they're looking to, how can we help? How can we help? How can we help?
No, they've asked.
Yeah, so they're coming out this weekend to the art festival with the wagon full of water to deliver to all the officers. So I'm like, just give me the bill, I'll pay for it. Pay yourself, we'll take care of it. So they're looking for things, so I said, hey, you wanna preach, you wanna get out there and help the people, and that's what you're about, we'll bring you right down to ground level, ground zero. And they seem to be, okay, let's give it a shot, give it a shot. I think that's all, except that Bob failed to say how we played the blues for the kid, and he walked around with a camera. And
I'll tell you what, it was very enlightening seeing the interactions between all the police officers and the kids at the camp. And if anybody would like a picture of the chief teaching these two young women how to play the guitar, I'll be happy to send it to you. You want to say anything about Miss America? Or?
September 6th, it's happening.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of logistics, but we'll see what kind of crowd. First time out of the box, I had no idea what to expect. Okay.
All right, any commissioners have any additional questions for the chief? Have a motion to join?
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Good.
Take it off.